What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I might have to be a little bit more quieter than what I normally am. I'm currently recording at midnight Australian time and everyone else in my house is sleeping, so this might have to be the whispering Grand Prix, so I'll have to wait and see how that goes. If you're enjoying, leave a like, subscribe, and let's get back on with this video. I don't think I've ever whispered in a video before, but that's a bit weird. So yeah, here we are for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Should be a very tough, challenging round, in all honesty. Massive power track. The straight is longer than, I don't know, some highways in my city, in my country, probably. I don't know. It's going to be real tough on this old McLaren Honda power unit. So much so that we've stuck in the absolute worst power unit we have on board just for the Friday practice acclimatization test. That's the only test, you know, in the bunch that doesn't require you to beat a target lap time. So it turned out to be a very tough Friday. I couldn't pass any you know, practice objectives to save my life. So the old gearbox and the old engine were really proving to be very troublesome for me. So much so to the point where it was just so distracting losing a gear that I had to change the gearbox. A little bit disappointing. We're going to have a grid penalty for this race, unfortunately, but I just couldn't race. Like, it was too much. I was losing like a second before I even got out of the first sector at Baku. So fresh engine is going to go on the car. I think power unit number 5, one that we haven't used before. Simply, we need the fresh power units just to get through the practice program. Such is the OP nature of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But we're having a look at the durability because this is the first time I've really experienced troubles with the gearbox, and that might be something we'll have to look into in future episodes, because we can't, you know, do 4 races with a gearbox and then have the whole thing play up on us. Hopefully that was just a one-off with that gearbox, and future ones can be okay, because I really want to focus my resource points towards you know, making the car faster, because we're so uncompetitive in this early part of the season, especially on tracks like this. If you look at the, you know, the Delta, we can't even pass, you know, race strategy programs, you know, tire wear test programs, even qualifying pace programs, which is really, really depressing. I believe that, no, this isn't qualifying pace. This must be the race strategy, I believe. But yeah, either way, going through the first sector, we're a second down, and you know, I don't know what to say. Like, we're just so slow and uncompetitive here. The AI are a lot harder in F1 2017. Just the difficulty in general is a lot harder in 2017, and Baku has always been a really tough track for the player to meet goals, to beat targets, and in the McLaren Honda that's just been exacerbated because the car is just so slow in a straight line. So this is the qualifying pace test here, and you can see we're 1.4 seconds down as we go through the middle sector. You know, we're even, you know, losing time in the corners. That's how bad things are at the moment. It's getting to the point where I think I might just sacrifice this Grand Prix, in all honesty. It was so bad. Like, look at that, 6.4 seconds off. We're 2.4 seconds off the next car, Marcus Ericsson. So something's definitely up. I thought it might have been my setup, so I changed that, but it went back to default, and I made the front and rear wings like 5.5 or 4.4, like it was before on my old setup, but that still didn't work. So it left me with pretty much no choice but to sacrifice this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're going to stick on a new engine because, yes, we're throwing this race weekend completely in the bin. So heading into the race, we're going to stick on an old power unit and do the first couple of laps. If there's a massive crash, then we'll carry on and do the race. But if not, nothing happens and there's no chance of us getting a good result after the first few laps, then we will retire and jump straight on to the next Grand Prix. So here we go. Away we go for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Heading into turn 1, we're just keeping things clean. We don't want to get involved in any incidents ourselves, you know. We actually want to see if we can survive and see if the AI themselves get tangled up in incidents up the inside into turn 2. The engineer actually said I couldn't use rich mixture for the start of this race. I can't actually use lean mixture either, as he's just saying right now, and that is because the energy store is well past 70 odd %. So yeah, can't use rich, can't use lean, and soon I probably won't be able to use standard, so that'll leave me nothing to do but to walk back to the pit lane after a pretty disappointing weekend. And then I just got the message there that we're significantly down on power in this power unit. So yeah, this was the first power unit we got this season, and we've done a few races with it, a lot of practice sessions, and yeah, it's past the point where it's even effective in practice. Like, you can't even beat the practice programs. But we made the call to Jeff to come in at the end of the lap. I decided to carry on for one more to see if anything would happen. We have a yellow flag up ahead, and that is Fernando Alonso out of the Grand Prix. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do the same thing. Let's just walk back to the pit lane together. We're going to save the environment by not calling for two escort cars back to the pit lane. It makes sense. And there we go. That was the Grand Prix. One of the most depressing career mode episodes I've ever had. There was no hope in us being competitive, simply with the car that we have at the moment. So there we go. At least we beat Fernando Alonso. We retired about 20 seconds after he did, so technically we beat him in that Grand Prix. But yeah, I was just really disappointed, in all honesty. I couldn't even get the resource points from the practice program, so it was a huge waste for me. But I'm glad I didn't waste even further resources by using the engine, using the gearbox, and potentially just wasting my own time on it when I could have been moving on to bigger and better things like I'm doing now in Austria. So apologies about the very depressed nature of the start of this episode. We're going to move on now to Austria, where things are going to be much more positive. So away we go for this weekend. We put power unit number 5 in again, the one that we used in the second part of practice for Azerbaijan, and things are looking much more swimmingly, as you can see, literally passing all of the practice program. So it was definitely a track specific thing with Baku just being way too hard. So I think that might need to be patched for sure. But that's practice. Time for quali for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon, where qualifying is about to start here in Austria. So sit back and enjoy the afternoon session.
Okay, so here we are for qualifying, and we're going to get straight into things with the ultra soft tyres. We're going to have 3 runs at this, and hopefully we can once again try and challenge for a spot in qualifying 2. That I'm going to be so happy if I can get out of the first qualifying session. This career mode has been so hard in so many different ways versus the mana career mode I did at the start of 2016. Just, yeah, the difficulty is just so much harder in almost every way. I believe actually we've scored more points in the mana this time last year than what I have so far in the McLaren, and that just speaks volumes about how much more difficult this F1 game is, and how much more realistic the car development is, and just the engine management and everything. The game has come such a long way in just 12 months, which is outstanding. But it definitely makes life harder for us, and probably more entertaining for you guys as well. So I'm really excited to see where we can take this car in the future. It's just going to make the I'd say reward like that much greater, considering all the adversity we're having to face right now. It will be worth it in the end. We just have to get there. But either way, this is our second lap, I believe, in qualifying. I think this is our fastest lap of the weekend through the final corner. It's been a very clean and tidy lap. We come across the line and end up in P16. So in between Kvyat and Wehrlein, just after that, Fernando Alonso went faster and displaced us down to P17. But I thought that lap was really good, and I didn't want to waste another set of ultras just trying to beat Fernando. So I thought, that's it for the session. We'll save the fresh ultras for the race and see how we go from there, because yeah, there was no way I was getting out of qualifying 1. So I thought better to save the resources for the race. And unfortunately, by retiring early, everyone improved. Even Fernando, he improved by a long way. And he was 8/10 quicker than I was, which was, really surprising. He found a lot of pace, and so did everyone else around me in the dying stages of that session. So, nice track acclimatization. But either way, 20th place. I know we're a lot faster than that, so we will be more competitive for the race.
Anthony Davidson joins me to talk you through the action here today at what is quite an unusual racetrack, wouldn't you say, Ant?
Yeah, it's quite an odd layout around here. The thing about Austria is that it's a harder circuit to master than what really meets the eye. On top of that, it's a low grip surface, and that means that your small mistakes end up being punished, and it's very easy to slide wide into the runoff area and lose a huge chunk of time. Luckily, because it's such a short circuit though, you have plenty of opportunities to perfect the lap.
Okay, so here we are on the grid of Austria. The race strategy looks pretty interesting, a one-stop. But if you look at the graphic there, it's only slightly faster than the two-stop. So I'm kind of leaning more towards going on the two-stop, starting on the supers, and being more competitive from the outset. I do want to make up positions early and, you know, see if I can hold on to that track position, because that's the way things, you know, normally work in a slower car. You need to be in front of cars in order to do anything. But here we go, ready for the start of the race for the Austrian Grand Prix, round number 9 of Season 1 of F1 2017 Career Mode. That is a shocking start, and probably just as well too, because we're last anyway. We're going to take a nice and clean run through Turn 1, avoid all the incidents, and that was really nice. The inside just opened up for me beautifully, and we got a amazing run through Turn 1. Up to P17, so yeah, I'll definitely take that. Next up is Jolyon Palmer. Let's see if we got the inside of him. We might snatch Carlos Sainz as well. He's caught a little bit napping. Still on the outside though, so we have to leave him a bit of space. And there we go, that's P15. He's probably not done yet though, as he still wants to take my position around the outside. We're still going to be close enough to get him under brakes though, into turn number 3. And it's still not done yet. It's still not done. He's on the ultra soft tyres. He still gets really nice grip, really nice traction, even though he's on the outside, and he holds position. Nice little battle there. I'll take that, even though it was a Toro Rosso, a much faster car, on a faster compound as well. I think we put up a pretty good fight there. So we're settling in now to the race. P16, P15 or something like that. Massive track extension at the penultimate corner, trying to keep Palmer at bay, but doesn't last too long as he goes for a move up the inside. Doesn't quite make it stick though, but considering how close he is, I still think he's at least half a chance to get me again. And there he goes round the outside on the back straight. Can we lunge him? I thought better of it. It was probably best to just stick in the slipstream and just try and run my own race. We have a yellow flag through the first sector though. Lewis Hamilton is out of the Grand Prix. What was the reason?
Oh no, no!
Yep, engine troubles. I mean, say all you like about McLaren Honda being as slow as hell in a straight line. At least we're reliable. We haven't had any, you know, engine troubles, gearbox, you know, I'm talking complete failures here. We haven't had any of that yet, which is really surprising.
You have 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining in the strategy. Your pit window opens in 2 laps' time.
But yeah, going back to the race now. The race strategy, I think we're going to change that to the one stop. I want to see if I can stretch this current tyre set as far as I can into the Grand Prix and see where that takes us. We will finish on the ultra soft tyres. I believe we can just make this stretch if we're really kind on our tyres. But going back to the, you know, the component factor, I reckon if we would have continued going in that Baku race, I would have thought for sure we would have had a failure or something like that. But meanwhile, Daniel Kvyat going up the inside of us into the penultimate corner. It was really tight through there, but I think we just managed to hang on ever so slightly. It didn't last too long though, as again, nice straight line speed. And Stroll was up my inside as well. There might have been a little bit of contact, but I think it could have as well just been shifting into third gear a little bit too quickly in the corner. The tyres really are starting to go off at this stage, and it's becoming, you know, just ever so much harder trying to hold on at this stage. This is the phase of the Grand Prix where everyone in the midfield or in the top 10 starts making their stops, and they're on fresh tyres, and there's no point really fighting them. Just try and, you know, stay with them if you can. If they go for an overtake, try not to fight them, try not to lose too much time, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do. But just the lack of straight line speed just makes things really awkward. They get alongside me in braking zones, and we just end up losing time anyway, which is really killing our race strategy here. I probably would have been better off at this stage doing the two-stop and being out of all this shenanigans, in all honesty. But we're right in the thick of things here. It makes for a more entertaining video, that's for sure. But yeah, just so frustrating from a race strategy point of view, we've pretty much thrown this one in the bin, and we're battling our teammate Fernando Alonso, who has already caught us now on the soft compound tyres. No, he hasn't stopped. He just had a big margin to us at the start of the race, and he's already closed that in due to our tyres really starting to go off now. But yeah, still trying to hold on as much as we can, running rich revs to try and hold the track position, because I believe Alonso might be stopping in this lap, maybe on the next one. So I want to take pit priority. I am the lead driver, both in the standings and on the racetrack as well. So I want to have first go at the pit stops and see if I can get the undercut on Fernando and stay ahead of him for the rest of this Grand Prix. Unfortunately, there was no safety car with the Lewis Hamilton retirement. That could have spiced things up, I reckon. I definitely would have switched to the two-stop there. But either way, pit stop time, onto the ultra soft tyres. Again, it's going to be a real stretch on these tyres as well to make it last to the end. But yeah, we'll see how we go. We're going to deal with the pain later and try and make lap time now while it counts, while Fernando was still out on his old soft compound tyres. He only stayed out for an extra 2 laps, so he came in a little earlier than what I was anticipating, but yeah, it means that we're pretty similar in terms of strategy and just, you know, tyre wear for the rest of the Grand Prix. I think 2 laps might make a little bit of a difference, but hopefully the margin that we have is enough to last to the end of the Grand Prix. So pushing on now, I think we've got about half a lap's worth of fuel in reserve for the fuel, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Fernando just had amazing pace on his tyres, and he quickly eroded that gap pretty much down to nothing. And still with 10 laps to go, we're going to have a hell of a fight for the rest of this Grand Prix trying to keep him behind. Just look at my driving. It's not like I'm driving bad, it's just Fernando is driving, you know, that much better. He just has that much pace over me at this stage, but we'll do what we can. He is in the McLaren Honda as well, so, you know, he shouldn't be that OP in a straight line so long as we can keep it in standard or rich revs. We managed to keep him at bay there, and I think our most, you know, vulnerable position on the track is heading into this penultimate corner here, and also heading into turn number 2 as well. But Fernando slides up the inside with 5 laps to go, and unfortunately I didn't get a good exit off the final corner, and that was pretty much it. So Fernando just had an amazing run up the inside, and that was pretty much it for our battle with our teammate. You can see on his POV, he goes up the inside. This is very brave from both of us. It was so close between us, literally at the apex, as close as you want to get to touching with your teammate, and we try and block off Wehrlein there. Yes, that was a bit cheeky, but I really wanted to hold the position and see if I could come back at Alonso, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Fernando got away, and that left me pretty much vulnerable to Wehrlein, who goes up my inside into turn 2. Another weak point for us. Just going up the hill, the Honda really chugs along and loses a lot of top end speed, but we're still hanging on here, only just by the skin of our teeth. We're getting lapped now by, I think it's Daniel Ricciardo, who's in 3rd place, and we're both kind of squabbling over this position at the same time. Neither of us want to give it up, and yeah, we're just continuing to battle on, even though we are holding up the race leaders here. We try and hold it up the inside into the left-hander. Did we get him? No, he's still there. He's still wanting to fight the position. We're going to get a penalty for blue flags in a minute, and Wehrlein concedes both the position and the lap to Daniel Ricciardo, and I think that was the end of the battle, was it? We'll have a look later on in the Grand Prix, but this is the POV of Daniel Ricciardo, just seeing us both running side by side. That's a race leader's nightmare, seeing 2 guys squabble over a position. That doesn't even really matter. It's P16 for God's sake. But either way, 33. Bottas was actually making the move on Ricciardo in the process as well. So while he was getting held up by us having our own race, Ricciardo loses a spot on the podium. He'd be furious. Yeah, I don't think he'll be too kind to me after we get back to the paddock. But either way, it's the last lap of the Grand Prix for us now that we're a lap down, and Wehrlein's last chance. He goes for around the outside into turn 2. We go really late under brakes and hold on there. I think that's pretty much it, unless he can get us coming into the penultimate corner like the AI often try to do. We hold the inside, no way around the outside there. You can't pull that off, and I think that is going to be P16. We will meet the team's objectives, but it's no points for us today after what I felt was a pretty good drive.
So here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. it's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So after a couple of races without winning a race, Raikkonen hits back at the haters, who said, why would he have haters after winning so many races already this season? I don't know, but there we go. That has been the Austrian Grand Prix. I did my best there. I probably stuffed up on the strategy, in all honesty. I should have committed to the one stop, but on the soft compound tyres, or I should have just stuck to the two stop and just ran my own race without getting involved in a lot of the top 10 runners. That's what really killed us, like just having to let people go and battle into braking zones and that kind of thing. That let Alonso come from a long way back to catch us, and I just shot myself in the foot, both, with my career mode choice, really, and the way that I've just conducted myself today. Apologies about the driving. That will improve. We will be back on the points. It's just a matter of when. We just need to keep being aggressive, keep pushing, try and upgrade the car as much as we can, and we will be there sooner rather than later. But that's been this episode for today, guys. Let me know how your own career mode is going. I'm actually really intrigued, especially if you're in a slower car. Like, how are you dealing with the lack of points, the lack of reliability, like especially like the gearbox and the power unit? How are you guys faring with that? I'm doing my best. I'm using the extra engines where I can, where I'm really slow, but it's a real struggle. Like, lack of pace, lack of reliability, lack of everything. We're just kind of lucky that we have the points in the championship to keep us, chugging along where we are in the standings. So, yeah, we'll keep the upgrades going. I think the failed upgrade that we did for the chassis, that'll be coming into effect sometime next episode. We'll build up some resource points and we'll do that if I haven't done it already. I can't exactly remember, but if I haven't, I will attack that, and then after that I might think about looking at some durability for like the gearbox and stuff, because that was outrageous. 4 races, or even like 3 races, and we were losing gears back in Canada. So yeah, it's a big riddle at the moment. A lot of things to conquer, a lot of things to get our brains around, and to turn the tides to get competitive again. Like, I'm still concentrated on getting back in the midfield, let alone trying to win the darn championship. I think we're going to have to put that on hold for a season or two. So this is going to be a long old career mode, and I'm really like intrigued by the challenge. We will get there. It's just whether we actually can before F1 2018 comes out, or if I have the patience at all. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like, the support on these videos has been amazing. 100,000 views every day, like within 24 hours of them coming out. That's incredible, even for me. So I just thank you guys so much. I'll continue to repay you guys with daily uploads, whether it be career mode, online stuff. I'll try and keep the streak of I'll try and keep the streak of career mode videos going for as long as I can. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.
Have a look at the report.